Good day everyone, I'm Benjamin Couwenberg, the site creator of consciousazine.com, and I just thought we'd broadcast the beautiful view here. We're looking at Kira. Let's give everyone a quick tour up here. This is Kira. There's Kira Surf down there in the buildings, and this is just my university, Southern Cross, and down that end is more the Gold Coast. Surfers' Paradise is far in the distance, and Burleigh Heads. So I take advantage of the beautiful view, and Veronica was asking me about the salt water, and you know, some people think, and why should we consume it, and why? Well, some people think that, you know, there's orms in the water, O-R-M-E'(S), and that these are a special state of infolded matter, sort of touching a plasmonic, biological plasmonic sort of zone of something correlative to a fifth dimensionality, and so 1 foot in a higher dimension. In that when they oxidize, they pop out. Now Veronica thinks that there's DMT in the air, and I think that, no, I think it's in the ground, because I think it's a non-oxidized version of events, and you know, L-tryptophan's found all throughout nature, and this is the precursor of serotonin and, you know, bufetenin and all this, and there's this process that goes up to DMT, melatonin, then DMT, and melatonin is the mild hallucinogen that we secrete in our neuroendocrine secretions in our pineal and the pituitary, I think, yeah, the pituitary gland as well. And the thalamus acts as a pump from the heart to help all this too, by the way, if you want to do that in a waking state. So you have to move into the higher heart, and the thymus thump can help that. So, you know, melatonin is the dream molecule, you know, DMT is the spirit molecule, everyone knows, and, you know, it's very possible that these things are found in nature more than we think. Now, some people say empirically, under empirical evidence, that there's no evidence of DMT being secreted in the brain, but I found it, and it's in a German peer-reviewed article, so it's there and it exists. I think it was a mice brain, and then I think they've actually found it in humans as well. So this is very interesting from what I read. Now that'll be somewhere in the neuroscience page, possibly on consciousazine.com. I'll have to re-dig that one up, because when I found it, I went, hallelujah, because I've heard that, you know, the official story is that we can't find it. And of course they want to oppress that information and keep it away from everyone. But I did. I found it in a German peer-reviewed article, and not too many people would find it in there, right? You know, not a lot of people would go digging around there. So it is out there, and I'm pretty sure it was not just a mice brain that it was found in, or a mouse brain, and it was human discovered. And it has to be it's very volatile. It has to, so I'm not sure how they found it, if they've done a real quick autopsy, because apparently DMT is very volatile, and that's why they can't find it in the human brain. It volatilizes off very quickly. Now, the thing is, what if someone had a large secretion on death, which would make sense, and then just somehow they timed it right? I'm not sure. But even if it was just found in the mouse brain, even if just that, we know that they're 99% of our DNA or whatever, you know, so I think it's quite obvious if we've got melatonin and the next step is DMT, you might not find it in everyone's brain, because I don't even know, some people tell me they don't dream. And people ask me about organic portal theory, the spiritless humans theory, and they say, do organic portals dream then? And all this stuff. So, you know, some people don't have REM sleep or rapid eye movement sleep. And, you know, everyone's different. So I expect in the future that we will find that we secrete the DMT spirit molecule. And yeah, back to what Veronica was saying, how it's in the air. I don't know if it's in the air, but I think it could very well be in nature in a lot of places. And I know it is in very many, like, trees. I have a huge list on the shamanic elocution page in Consciousazine, and there's a huge list where it names each tree. You can extract it from the bark, and so you can actually do your own DMT synthesis if you're into that sort of thing. I remember the list is quite large. I think it's even the Australian wattle tree has, all the wattle varieties have it in there. So I mean, it's just in the bark of all these trees, so it is out there. And as we know, L-tryptophan is just everywhere in nature. So, and that's a precursor to all that stuff. So, yeah. Anyway, that's just a quick thing of that. And why drink the water of the ocean? Well, you know, there's old wives' tales that drinking ocean water makes you go mad, it's over salty, it'll actually dehydrate you. Yeah, this happens. I'm a surfer since 12 years old, and yeah, that's basically true. I'm not saying that's not true, but what I've found is, and some people say you have to get used to the salt water because there's bacteria in there, you can't just step in there and you might get a sore throat. And indeed, after 2 months of not surfing one time or here and there in my life, I've had that on myself. So that's very true as well. But however, when we do start to get used to it, it really helps us build a natural resistance, I feel. It's like how some people say you should eat a spoonful of dirt before you're 3 years old. It builds up a sort of natural resistance. And it's kind of like a true vaccine. Because, you know, the idea of a vaccine is to put the virus in you, and so your body can build the antigens and all that. And it's what I'm saying with the salt water, it's kind of like that. It's like a natural vaccine. And eating the dirt before you're 3, natural vaccine. So I think people need to take this into account because that's how the Earth's always done it with Homo sapien. So I think there is some merit in not saying drink salt water. That's not what I'm saying, but when you surf and you bathe in it and you get it through dermal absorption in your largest organ, and you do end up swallowing a bit here and there, I'm just pausing to think where I can put that on the scale of importance. And for me, because it's right up there. It's next to coconut oil, it's next to cacao, it's next to honey and propolis. Bathing and surfing in salt water. I'm actually going to write a book on this called Why Surfing's So Healthy for You. You know, apart from the vitamin D3, D1, D2, D3 and D4 that you get from the sun while you're out there, apart from that, just the orms, the special matter in the water, which is non-oxidized and seems to pop out into other things like golds and different molecules. So, you know, if we go, it's kind of like going straight into the belly of the source of the thing, you know, straight into the womb of Earth. So it's like re-entering back into the birth canal in a way. We all know many babies come out crying and they probably want to go back in there. So it's pretty similar in the water. I love surfing, and this is the way it's been to me. That every time I have, right now, I'm about to head overseas. I've been researching every day, about 18 hours a day, and I'm totally tired and drained, and then I get back out there in the ocean. I'll have a surf one day, I'll have a day off, have the afternoon off, and I come back the next day I feel like the Shen energy is completely able to propel itself out, and my aura is way back up. And my aura has become very strong. For people who don't know what Shen energy is, that's created out of the heart. And we have, it starts as Jing, which is like our container energy. And then it turns to Kui or Qi in the bottom Dan Gen, or the gut brain. And then in the heart, Kui or Qi turns to Shen energy. It's like aura. And then we have Wu Ji. And now that's the ultimate, if you can make it to Wu Ji force in the crystal room, or the third eye, this major Dan Gen, well, you've got to think about that's kind of the end of the line in the way of those forces or energies in Taoism. Of Jing, which is like your container energy, where you pull from, then Qi, which is like movement, and then Shen, which is like aura, and then this Wu Ji, which I call cosmic tinkering force, and you're able to actually think for yourself then. So you notice a lot of people are airy-fairy, and they're very Shen and aura, but then they won't make many microdendritical evolutions in the brain and neurology evolutions and the axonal movements. So I think that's kind of the ultimate thing to get to to have the good aura and to be able to, use the Wu Ji and the cosmic tinkering and think. Cosmic tinkering, think. Anyway, so getting in the ocean it definitely makes a huge difference for me, and I definitely put it right up the top. Now, the other day, me and Veronica were talking about drinking water and how terrible it kind of is. And some people still are drinking tap water, I know. And when I was in high school, I got taken to a refinery plant. And before that, I was aware that we recycled water, but I had not seen it firsthand. So in high school, they took us to a water recycling plant, and it's basically our own excrement, our poo and piss, mixed with chemicals and filtered a bit and all this, and then put back out into the tap water system. So, I mean, we've got to think about what we're doing there. Not only is the water holding memory, such as pain, traumas, not only is it holding half the population's on pharmaceuticals, we have an aging population, so that's all in the water, in their piss and poo. It's terrible. And people are thinking, in New South Wales, Australia here, I'm just on the border of Queensland and New South Wales and Australia here. I'm in South Queensland, but in New South Wales, I know that in the last decade they've lobbied the government, every hippie group, so to speak, around here has lobbied the government to get fluoride out of the water, which we know calcifies our pineal. Now, I think they were successful and they've removed it, but then I've heard in America they want to put lithium in the water. This will send people mad. This is the soft metals send people mad. Just like fillings in your teeth. I used to have, in grade 2, 3 or 4, I actually in 1 year got like 13 fillings or something because I was just on sugar. I was just a kid and I was just on sugar. Now, they slowly fell out, and you'll find this, a lot of people, their fillings just fall out naturally, especially when you get off sugar. I was very young back then, and that's what we did as kids. Get hyped up and build cubby houses in the trees and so on, and make trouble. Anyway, so I think that's very important, not because of the vitamin D and all of that, but you're bathing directly in it. There's also the grounding effect, where we get negative reionization or negative charge, and that's very calming. This is like ultimate health out there in that ocean, it's a free thing, so it's amazing to me that people stay away from that, Some people don't like the beach and so on. Also the crystals on the beach, walking on the beach, the crystals. One time I almost fainted from a Kundalini meditation because the crystals in the beach are so strong. And you can look up on Google sand, beach sand magnified 250 times, and it's all these little shells and crystal rocks and stones, and I just thought, oh my God, I'm walking on this every day, or whenever I go there, which hasn't been every day recently, and this has been a great period in the last 2 months. I've been studying 18 hours a day, because I just sort of finished my degree, wanted to get into my passion again, which is health and all this helping people with consciousazine. I always get shown things, and this period was also being shown exactly how important vitamin D is, because I started feeling run down. I do 16 days in a row here, I feel it. And especially if you're up the top of a building like we are now. And so then what I did was I went and had a surf, and I definitely recognised the effects of the vitamin D. And to bathe in the ocean, it pushes every static energy out. So I mean, if you're a meditator, you're talking about meditating and whatever you do, all the meditations and mudras and all this. The best thing I've found is getting fully loose in the water, surfing, moving and it's hot movement of the muscles, hot movement. Out there in the ocean, when you're surfing especially, hot movement under the cool environment of the water. So it's super good for you in that way. It's harder to get hurt, you float in the salt water. So I mean, the benefits for me are just monumental and not to be underestimated and put to the side in health. I haven't heard anyone mention the ocean, I think people need a lot more vitamin C. Not vitamin C out of the orange, but vitamin C. And, you know, I think it's underestimated a lot, because I've noticed when I go for a surf, yeah, I'll need more protein. I will need more protein, and hemp seeds won't even do it. As an O-positive blood type, I'll end up eating a bit of chicken. It always happens. I go for a long surf, 5 hours, next day surf again. I'm going to need some solid protein. Now, there's a thing about that, you know, meat only contains about 20% protein, but it's not just hemp seeds that make me fill with protein, because they're 40%. You know, your body absorbs proteins from different sources, and I think that's the best way to do it, and animal oils from different sources as well. So I'm not just saying that I eat meat and I require meat after surfing, because the hemp seeds definitely help, but there's always this other part there, and you know, spirulina is also 40%. And so whenever I take a surf, I'll need those kinds of things. I'll have a bit of chicken, a bit of hemp, a bit of spirulina. They're the top sort of protein sources. And sea vegetables like wakame as well. They're all the top protein sources. Actually, protein, if we're looking for it, it's always the foods closest to the sun. That's why protein is found largely, the most protein is in spirulina and hemp seed. Hemp seed grows at a 13-week cycle, and you can just see it's falling up into the sun really quickly, and it's close to the sun. So that's where we find protein in. And when you cook meat, you actually lose half of it. So, you know, if you're bringing your meat down to 15 or 10% or 20% protein, it's less efficient than hemp. However, I'm telling you that we all absorb this stuff differently due to lectin, which are molecules which are binding, they're sugar-binding molecules, you might just say, or carbohydrate-binding molecules. If you look at my blood type eating video, I learned this. So we all digest lectins in a different way. So yes, I do sometimes need chicken after my surf, not just the hemp seed and not just the spirulina, because I have a certain blood type, which is O-positive. And everyone has different blood types, and that's got to do with how we digest lectin. So I want everyone to be aware of that when I was just saying why I require chicken after I have a few good surfs. Every time I'll go to some sort of meat. I might have a little beef teriyaki, a little chicken teriyaki, or a beef sushi. Stuff like that. I'm not chowing down on a big steak, and I don't think that's the way we should eat anymore. You know, that's the 90s. That's back there. Because, you know, we've got the health shops now. We've got spirulina available right there. It isn't some far-off ingredient that's super exotic. And hemp seeds are at every health shop now. You know, so it's all available, so we should be switching to that and not the chunk of meat with the little bit of parsley on top. I actually think it should be a base of parsley and a little bit of meat on top. That's how I would cook if I was a chef. Anyway, you know, so you've got the oils, you've got the vitamin D, and the natural immunity that you get from swimming in the ocean or surfing in it. What else did we mention? The movement, which is going to be anti-arthritic. We're going to get our daily exercise, cardiovascular health. The second major death disease in the world is cardiovascular disease, which has got to do with your heart and your flow of all your blood. So, you know, when you get out there in the water and a big wave's coming at you, your heart pumps a super fast pump because it's a little bit scary, and you know, and everything gets pumping, and this is vivacious life. So we've got those 4 major factors there going for the ocean, and if you don't think they're major factors, they definitely are, because, for instance, vitamin D. What does vitamin D do? It interacts with up to 10% of our genetics. So that's huge. There's nothing else that we know of that interacts with 10% of our genetics. There's no other. Vitamin C doesn't. Vitamin E doesn't, you know. Now, vitamin D is actually a steroidal hormone. So it's not actually a vitamin or a vitamin. So people are incorrectly labeling vitamin D as a vitamin when it's actually a steroidal hormone. Now, what's that mean? Well, you know, you have bodybuilders and they go and they pump up with steroids, right, to get bigger, to get more, to have more power, etc. So the sun gives us that naturally, because it's a steroidal androgen. And, you know, it'll help your thyroid if you're a woman, because the thyroid pumps out a lot of androgens. And so, they're major factors, those 4 we labelled, and as if exercise isn't a major factor of health, the 4th one we labelled, the heat of movement under the cool environment of the ocean. That's a major thing as well. So, every day it's said take a certain amount of steps by, say, Dr. McCullough. People have thought for a long time, you've got to stay active, you can't just sit on your ass all day or you get the belly and so on. So, I think that's a great way to do it, by getting in the ocean, you get all the 4 major things. It's going to make you not just live longer, and you don't stay out there for hours and hours, and we should quickly talk about sunscreen maybe. I'm not saying go out there for 5 hours every day. Some days I only go for half an hour surf. I feel this. Some days I will be out there for 3 hours. Now, you've got to feel this, what you need, what feels nice. It might not feel good to go out for 4 hours that day. I've before surfed for 7 hours. When I went to Western Australia, I surfed at Gracetown for 7 hours, just because it was really good. A day like that can be great. So that's not what I'm saying to do. You might just go out there for half an hour. Some risk factors: you burn in 6 minutes. Your skin begins to burn in 6 minutes, right? So, besides those 4 major things, you've also got the grounding, which I didn't go into, which is negative electrons, which is reionization. There's 2 types of ions, which are cations and anions, or anions. Now, anions, what I call earthing reionization, is negative charge. You're bringing down your positive charge, because cations, that's positive charge. There's more positrons than electrons. And when you ground, you get more electrons than positrons. And the atmosphere is always rusting us, even breathing. And that's why the Buddhists say have a small, gentle heart and breathe smaller. Because that's the major oxidative theory of aging, oxidation. And that's why we take antioxidants like berries and so on, and cacao. So that was the 5th thing that I wanted to add in there. Now, back to the risk factor thing. You burn in 6 minutes. So now sometimes in summer I'll put on titanium zinc. Now these are nanoparticles and they're not good for us and all that, but the thing is, people say, apply raw coconut oil. It actually is a sunscreen. Now most people are going to be confused, like, what, coconut oil? Whenever I've put that on, then it makes me burn and get really red and tan. That's the synthetic stuff. That's the stuff you buy from the chemist, the fake apothecary. That's the synthetic version, and that's not acting as a screen. It's thinned out, it's hydrogenated, and etc. They've stuffed it up completely. So the raw coconut oil, like some health enthusiasts are saying, is actually a bit protective against the sun, and it's good for your skin and so on. But don't go out there with it loaded on and stay out there for hours, because you definitely get burnt. And I wouldn't even do that. I personally don't put on coconut oil before I go. I put it on after, because first I get the exfoliation from the water, from the sand, etc. I get exfoliation and cleaning of the skin. Then I'll come home for a shower or whatever, and then I'll put on coconut oil. So there is a risk factor of getting burnt, and the risk factor of using sunscreens and zincs. I'll put a little strip there. Sometimes I cover my whole face with the zinc, and that's rarely. I don't do that every time. That's what I mean. If I'm going for a long surf, like 2, 3, 4 hours, then I'm putting the zinc on. If it's in summer. In winter, I probably won't. So you've just got to think it for yourself, as usual, right? Yeah, so it's interesting. Anyway, back to the start, and before we cut out the video, apparently these orms, David Hudson is the sort of guy behind the idea of orms, and in this infolded matter, some people think is like infolded matter and non-oxidized matter, they are definitely in the ocean, because it's in the ocean, it's not in the oxidative atmosphere like we just talked about, with positrons and grounding. So yeah, we could just cut out here, because my battery's getting low and I don't see a PowerPoint around, and I think we should talk about fresh water separately. So remember all those main points we had there. The vitamin Ds, which interact with 10% of your genes. There's 3,000 biological effects. The grounding, so negative charge, which has a total clarity thing about it. The orms. Now what's the orms? It's like supercharging you. It's supercharging. And the fifth dimensional light is like this unpolarized light, so it clears you out and creates that Shen, and it sort of brings you back to the plasmonic field, if you will, or the unified field. What else did we talk about? Number 4, what was that? The exercise, just the physicality of it all, and the movement of heat, heating up the muscle under the cool environment of the water. And what was the 5th one?
Crystals in the sand.
Yeah, but there's, what did I mention?
Free reflexology.
Well, it doesn't matter, it's back in the recording anyway. So I'm just going to shut this off. Okay, so Veronica was just saying, talk about the electrolytes. So to finish up, some people might not have correlated to that. What I already said was the orms, and what that is this higher state matter, and it folds out into electrolytes. It folds out into iron, magnesium, all this stuff, the spark of life, magnesium. That's what the orms are. It's a higher state of matter, and they pop out into different molecules. So yeah, it's nutrition as well. Going in the ocean is a nutrition for endermal absorption and getting it in you as well. Now, you were saying electrolytes and stuff. Yeah, it's very interesting. I talked about that charge, but yeah, I just wanted to say that, and extrapolate that because people would have missed it if you did. The point of the orms is they pop out into these things, and it's like getting the precursor. It's like getting L-tryptophan. If you want serotonin, you drink pumpkin seed, it's got L-tryptophan in it, and it turns into that. Or for more dopamine, you take Mucuna pruriens, and it has L-dopa and other things, but it has L-dopa, which is the precursor to dopamine. So the ocean is the precursor to like all of these things, not the neurotransmitters necessarily, but everything. Because it's the orms that are like the higher state. If you understand dimensionality, third dimensionality is like this, like a ball, a zonal reality, a molecule. What I was saying is the orms reach into an unfolded state. They're not folded. Where Rumi said, "Where I am folded, there I am a lie." The great poet Rumi. So the molecules are like that, and that's why we can make vitamers. Vitamers are vitamin C in 10 different forms. Magnesium in the form of chelate. Magnesium in the form of glycoconate or whatever it is. In the different forms, these are vitamers, and people don't know about that either. So what I was saying was the orms are that unfolded state, and your body can fold it into all these different molecules. So yeah, nutrition as well.